Like, so how does a novice like myself get into selling things on these big auction platforms?
Selling's easy, man. I would say what's really cool and the feedback that I get working at Fanatics Collect and previously PWCC is having a rep, right? To be able to pick up the phone, call or text your rep, send an email, have a response time. That's where I feel like we win because you know that you have that resource all the time. So
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Double digits. That's what we have reached now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Hi, everybody. Jeff Cardozo here with you. Jameel Muhammad alongside inside the Meelypop shop here in Gainesville. So cool to be coming here and give you a little perspective of everything that is going on. But there is certainly a lot going on, even it's the summer. But you've got NFL about to get going. College football, of course, is the big talk down south. And I was up in but kind of the New England part of the country, and I saw a dude wearing an SEC hat.
Oh,
And I'm like, hey, that's kind of strange. Like, do you even know like what that is? He goes, oh, my daughter goes to Auburn. So that was about it. But it is a different world from the college football perspective. But it's never different in your world because there's just always a million things going on, and we're happy to be coming at you with episode 10. We've got another great show for you. We're going to talk certainly a lot of sports cards and the hobby, and we will talk to Nate Flesher as well from Fanatics Collect. So that'll be a fun time. But everything good? You doing all right? It's now what, a couple of weeks after the Nationals, so maybe settling down a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. It's that time, like you said. So not only is sports in full effect, we also have the hobby in full effect, right? So there's a big event we're going to in New York City at the Javits Center called Fanatics Fest. So that's I guess it's a Fanatics themed show today. But that's going to be the first time they've run an event, and they're trying to mimic this kind of Comic-Con like experience with sports. So if anybody goes and checks out the list of people that are going to be there, it's amazing, from sports to WWE to just celebrities, Travis Scott and Drewski. I mean, there's so many different types of people coming to this event. And so we're going to be there as a vendor, and we're going to check it out, see how it goes. It seems more like an event than a show, but I'm going to see how that kind of pans out. And that's on the horizon. But sports are what everyone's talking about right now. We're in the shop today, and football's been flying off the shelves. So
as it should be. And we'll talk a little football, but I want to go to the Olympics first because that is, of course, kind of front and center. We're seeing all these things that are happening, and you watch basketball, which is probably the biggest for the sports fans out there. Gosh, this young guy named Wemby was pretty much dominating, and obviously that's the home country for France. I mean, you had even a French golfer that almost made his way into the medal. Crowds are going nuts and everything else. But I mean, Team USA is doing their thing; they're dominating. But can that now even transform this Wemby phenomenon even more?
I think so, yeah, because it's just one of those freak years. So he comes in the draft, the Olympics are up. They're now in the semifinals of the biggest tournament in the world for basketball. Quoting Noah Lyles, right? Because he said, who's the world champion just in the States. So and he did his thing. So shout out to Noah Lyles and that whole track team. But thinking about Wembanyama's cards right now, if they were to make the finals and let's say play against the United States, the pandemonium the hype that will draw with having Wembanyama versus everybody on America, you know what I mean? This quintessential freak athlete, alien they call him, who's come up, and now his cards have started to even. Usually in basketball, you see this huge drop off, and we've seen it with like the Prism Silvers. We've seen it with kind of his like mainline cards, but they've started to level out, and usually they don't level out until right before season. So to me, I didn't go back and look at the metrics a little bit more. I'm interested to see his cards may actually accelerate even more if they, move forward. They beat Canada, which was a pretty big upset, right? Jamal Murray. He was shooting for 4% from 3%, three point or something like that. And so you're seeing all these kind of levels. And again, how do the other players that didn't do so well that were favored, work out? So we'll see. I'm excited. I'm just excited to see basketball played at that level, and different rules, a little weird. The ball's a little weird too.
Yeah, and court's a little smaller, so Team USA has to adjust to that. But I think that's the fascinating part is, you have all these guys that are basically rivals.
Yeah.
And the coolest part for me is you've got guys at the end of the bench that may not be playing a bunch. You look at a guy like Steph, who's used to putting up 35, 40 a game, and he might be getting 8, 9, 10 points a game, but he's high-fiving everybody and they're just having a good time. So I wonder how that then translates, when you go back to this competition. It's like, it's hard to get mad at a dude because, you were just his teammate and you spent all summer with him high-fiving for Team USA. So it's a fun dynamic for sure.
And Durant too, that's another guy who's coming off the bench, which he's never done in his career. And he's played really well for the US. LeBron looks like prime LeBron 03, just dominating.
Dishing the ball left and right. And
it's fun to watch because, hasn't really seen that LeBron on the Lakers. I mean, you have, but you haven't, right? Like, and so it's just a fun opportunity we get every 4 years. And we won't get again for 4 more years. I just heard that in LA in 4 years, they're bringing flag football. They already announced it. They have a commercial with Jalen Hurts, I think, throwing a football. And so we got more stuff to look forward to the Olympics in 4 years. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I was just up in Philly and got to go to the Eagles open practice, which was kind of cool. Nate, 55,000 people in the stadium for just a practice. So
not just 55,000, it's 55,000 Philadelphia.
Yes, nutty Philly fans. It was a good time. And of course, that's tough being a Braves guy, being around that town. But yeah, we flew in. It was the day game for the Yanks and the Phils, and so a lot going on up there. So speaking of football, you think in part of my watching on the plane, I went back and watched Hard Knocks, which they did with the Giants. So it's talking about the draft process and going through all that. And of course, they take a pretty studly receiver from LSU at 6, and they got the guy they wanted, but nobody budged from 1, 2, and 3, and that was those quarterbacks. And as we start to see these preseason games and people starting to play, like, what is happening to Caleb Williams and Jalen Daniels and Drake May, who's going to, be on New England? We'll see if he can resurrect that franchise. But what are those cards doing?
So I think right now, especially the National, was key. Seeing these people buying these new quarterbacks. Caleb Williams is pretty hot. And I use that as a pulse because all the different people asked for Caleb. We sold out all the Caleb Williams stuff that we had. Jane Daniels was also somebody that people are interested in, intrigued in buying. He doesn't have a lot of cards yet. But the one that was a little disappointing was Drake May. I think his card values, ever since the news that Joe Milton is somewhat competing for the starting job, what does that do to the number 3 pick who was drafted to come and become the resurrection, like he said, for the New England Patriots? So I don't know what's going to happen with Drake May stuff. If you're a believer in Drake May, this is the perfect time probably to buy it. Because I think he's taking a hit, his stock, or maybe wait a week or two. But then what happens if he comes out of preseason and it looks like Aaron Rodgers, So, it's one of those things. And another funny thing about preseason, don't get caught up in the hype. For you kind of newer listeners and newer hobby folk, you might see a guy that does really well in the preseason who's a nobody, like in terms of nobody had heard about this guy. So everybody will start buying his cards. And that does not always translate at all because it's the preseason. It's just these guys, really showing out to make a team against the second or third string. And very rarely do you see those kind of preseason heroes develop into major heroes in the regular season. But looking forward to the season, new rules with the kickoffs, new, all sorts of things, a longer season this year, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how football pans out. It's almost here.
Yeah, playing past Christmas now, which is nuts. So when you say something like that, we talked Brock Purdy a few weeks ago. And you had a guy on that wanted to get every Brock Purdy card. He was Mr. Irrelevant. So when you say something like that about maybe a 3rd or 4th round quarterback that could potentially, so it's maybe, hey, don't get Drake May, but maybe go get the other guy. Would that be a time?
Yeah, Milton is a guy who people are buying, right? And they're asking for it, and he's cheap. So it's always the conundrum of the backup quarterback in the NFL. And there are people who literally buy and flip and sell backup quarterbacks, and they're always buying them, and they're rarities because right when that starting quarterback goes down, right, a la Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, right, people then hop on and try and sell those kind of cards initially. In that I bring up the Cowboys. There's so many others. Cooper Rush, who came in, his cards went through the roof. Mike White, if you remember a few years ago, came in and looked good, 3-0. His cards went through the roof. You don't want Mike White cards right now. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things that you have to be careful of. But some people believe that, maybe this is the next, ushering into the next guy. So it's a fun thing with football. Quarterbacks drive everything, but we're seeing more of it with running backs last week, like Chris was talking about with McCaffrey. We have a lot more focus on wide receivers, and you're starting to see a little bit more on the defensive side, cards having more value. Sauce Gardner stuff has maintained for the past 2-3 years, which is great to see. I know that's one guy. There's many other cornerbacks in the league and secondary players, but you're starting to see a little bit more, I think, value associated with some of the bigger defensive guys.
All right. So you say seeing more of stuff, and that may not be a good thing with what we're kind of seeing in the industry now.
Yeah.
I just something came out about CT scans, and being able to maybe manipulate some stuff. What's this all about?
Yeah, so I won't give the company credence because I think it's one of these things for as a hobby shop owner. I'm sitting in here surrounded by wax, surrounded by product and sealed product that comes from factory fresh cases. But there's a big push, and I've heard about the inklings of this to kind of give you a little bit of history here. In China, in the last couple of years, with these high-end basketball cases that were being taken to veterinarian clinics and hospitals, and they were using the X-ray and the CT scanners to actually see what was inside. And then the term we use is Frankenstein it, right? By maybe cutting it open, taking cards out, putting cards in, and then reselling it to Chinese breakers. And in China, and I'm learning that there's a lot of novice people as well entering the field. So a lot of people were buying these breaks that were already manufactured. So now there's a company in America that I guess he's patented some, or they have patented some sort of CT scan technology in which they can scan packs. Pokemon is the example they use, but you can also do it with sports cards. And then there's a service where you can send your packs to them. They will provide you a document that says what's in your pack, or maybe even box. And then I don't know how this is possible. It's America, I guess, but that's patent pending. They have a pending patent on this. So there's a lot out there. There's been the rumblings of it, but I think it's been brought to light now, and a lot of people are very uneasy about it. How will Panini, how will Topps, how will Upper Deck, Leaf, all these companies react? How will Pokemon react? Will they create some sort of mechanism or something that can't be traceable? We'll see how that goes, but that's kind of the big hobby news, I would say, if I kind of encapsulate it. And it sucks, because you got a lot of people who want to have fun with this hobby, right? Who enjoy opening packs, so fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, mothers, whatever it is, who come into the shop. And so that trust factor is nothing that we've done as store people, but now what do we have to do in terms of gaining that trust back from the customer? So we'll see where it pans out. I'm not too worried about it. I do think that, as you buy from a shop, you'll know that their stuff comes from factory fresh cases, right? So like cases can't be manipulated in terms of, scanning and seeing all that stuff. And also we're getting that stuff so quick and flipping it. Finest Baseball comes out this week. People are going to already pre-ordering cases of that. So we get it in from Topps, we sell it. You know what I mean? So it's one of these things that I think just keep an eye on. Hopefully it doesn't turn into something more than it is, but we're definitely watching it closely.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. I guess everybody's trying to find a way, manipulate something, but hey, again, why you should trust the local hobby store.
The Loki, I like that.
The Loki store. That's what it is all about. All right, well, we're not going to be local. We're going national when we come back, because we have Nate Flesher from Fanatics Collect. You won't want to miss it. More on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast right after this.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, we welcome you back to the Meelypod Hobby Podcast. Jeff and Jameel live from the shop today, where we are getting after it. And of course, we'll get after it, maybe ripping some of the stuff behind us in just a little bit. But we're going to rip through another great interview. It's been a lot of fun learning the industry for myself. Jameel just keeps getting the best of the best of the business on, and really excited to bring in Nate Flesher now from Fanatics Connect. And I guess he was a part of something, and it's just made it even bigger and bigger, huh?
Yeah, so we'll talk to Nate here in just a moment, but Nate has been a great just resource in the hobby. I think he's a hobby guy who's now working at Fanatics Collect, but was formerly PWCC. And so many people know, about the auctions that they've run and just the services they provide over the past years. So I guess without further ado, we're going to bring on Nate here through virtual. You there, Nate?
Hey, what's happening, everyone? Appreciate you guys having me on the show for sure. So thank you.
Love the background, looking sharp.
Love it, man. Yeah, I can't take credit, stole it from someone, but I got to represent the 90s.
Yeah, that is the PMG Championship Hall of Foil. Is that what it is, or is it Hall Championship, right?
Yeah. And I'm a sucker for the shine for my PC stuff. So got to represent on Meelypod here for sure.
Yeah, I love it, man. So first question, I got to talk to you about the National being a hobby dad, because I saw you walking. Well, I mean, you're doing your work. We're working, but then you had a time when you had your boys with you, your two boys, and you're walking around, and you're full on hobby dadding. You know what I mean? I see the smile on your face, and you're getting your kids excited about the hobby, and they all had Lions jerseys on, and it was just like this really cool moment. I get to see the guy behind the face of Fanatics Collect. I get to see the guy who is a dad who gets to have fun with his kids. So like, I guess, what was it like just being the hobby dad, and then of course, you know, seeing your sons embrace this hobby and the cards that you've grown to love?
Yeah, man, it was incredible. Honestly, like as a parent, kind of the moment you've been waiting for. I mean, throwing it way back, started with cards and sports, doing like the Panini sticker book. So I remember when my first son was 3.5, we every night, instead of reading books, we're opening the sticker packs and going through, and he memorized all the teams by the time he was 4. So
Wow.
those are the moments that, come out for me, and, fast forward a decade later, and here we are at the National. So it was really cool. I was super busy at the National. I don't know why so many people wanted to talk to me, but I was beat red in the face and sweat behind the booth all day. And then I'm like, dang, man, I need to go break out on the floor and hang out with my kids. So I was lucky enough to have 2 really good local friends that brought my boys down along with theirs. And just seeing them in action was awesome. They got a couple PC items. They had a list. They were all ready. My youngest son, Nolan, who's 10 years old, was a little too focused on finding one card, and I'll take blame for that, because I told him that, he should get a 2005 finest LeBron, like red X-Fractor or refractor. So the whole show, he was all focused on finding that one card. So in hindsight, he even admitted, hey, I focused on that too much. But overall, they loved it, man. And it was just so cool seeing them live. And what I appreciate about this hobby is it's old school, right? So can teach my boys to look someone in the eye, shake hands, negotiate. So it was awesome, man. Absolutely loved it.
Well, now you left me hanging. Did he find the card?
Oh, all right. So here's the best part of the story. So he comes up to me and he's super bummed. At the end of the show, they're about to leave. Couldn't find it. I had one of the cards that I brought. I involved it. And I'm like, all right, dude, I'm going to give you a great deal. Here we go. And we made a cash deal. So I ended up stealing one of my cards, which now I need to go out and replace. Some other cool moments, and we'll touch on this a little bit. But Barry Sanders was interviewed at our booth, and so was able to, I just asked. I'm never that guy to say, hey, can my son get an autograph or whatever, but I had to in the moment because I'm in Michigan. And so they got to meet Barry, shake his hand, get some pictures. And he even grilled them a little bit about, how they're doing in school and stuff. So that was
Cool.
that was probably my favorite moment. I don't think they'll appreciate it really until, a few years from now, but that was sweet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the fun stuff, is just meeting your heroes like that. And randomly for myself on a family vacation, I think I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and we're up in that area, and we happened to be driving by, and the Lions were practicing outdoors of, the old Dome Stadium, and they were coming out of practice. I got a picture with the coach at the time, and all of a sudden Barry Sanders is walking by. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Barry Sanders. And I didn't have anything. I was actually like summer, so I'm studying for school. So I had a notebook with, just the white piece of paper, and I got Barry to sign that, and I still have that to this day. But I wish I would have had something cooler. But yeah, stories are great, man.
I somehow didn't have a Barry Sanders card there. I'm like, what the heck, man? I have, dozens at home. So we got creative and got the kids like a little Fanatics Collect 5x7 or something. They signed it. So little memory there and a little autograph, which is cool.
Yeah, really cool. And what wasn't cool was I couldn't be at the show, but it allowed me the opportunity to go back and watch a bunch of videos and different things. And I saw an interview Jameel did with you about comps and techs at the shows, and we had Chris from Card Ladder on. And I sit there and I think about just the different things that are going on. So like, do you in the industry ever just take a step back and wish we could return to those cool Beckett days, like how I grew up looking at cards? And why would that be, or maybe why not?
No, for sure. So yeah, Chris and Josh at Card Ladder legends. Fun fact, Josh was actually my first hobby friend back in the day when I got back into the hobby in 2012. We kind of we feel like we changed the game with the refractors and stuff, and we're buying the best LeBron refractor for $1,000, and we thought maybe at that time we're crazy. We kind of changed the market. But a little fun fact there, but love those guys. I mean, listen, I remember being a kid and getting the Beckett and scrolling through, and that was cool. But Card Ladder, for me, I probably use 75 times a day. I love the fact that you can look at real-time stuff. be at shows, look at comps. I'm sure as a dealer, sometimes it's annoying, right? Because that information is so accessible. But I would say no, man, I appreciate the fact that, companies like Cardlet are out there, they're high level, the data's there. You can make sure you're getting a good deal and making a sound choice. So I do miss the nostalgia a little bit of holding those and trying to keep them in mint condition and going through and saying, oh my gosh, this card that I have is featured, or I really want this card, and you kind of cut it out and hang it on your wall. But no, I'd say I prefer today in the comps.
So hearing that, thinking about Beckett price guide for a second, I got to know if you, when you looked at Beckett back in the day, I found out there's two types of people. There were people who opened the Beckett and then they would point, they would use their finger to find their card, or there's a person who would take a top loader and a card and they would slide it down and they would see which line it crossed. So were you a pointer or are you a top loader guy?
Definitely a pointer, man. Definitely a pointer. How about you guys?
I was a top loader guy. I think I used to always measure it. I was very meticulous, and Ozzie Smith is 30 cents, Well,
that's I mean, you guys are talking about $1,000 cards. I was so excited to see it go up $1 from the last month. I'm like, sweet.
Yeah. Making money
good here.
Yeah, you're a mogul at that time. So speaking about moguls, I think about what the Fanatics world has kind of come into the hobby space, Nate. And I think about where you were with PWCC and now transitioning to Fanatics Collect. And I'd love to kind of hear from your perspective how this transition has kind of morphed and how it's worked out in your life. And then, Fanatics Collect is going to be new to some people. Most people, they're learning, oh, wow, this is kind of this new platform, auctions, all this stuff going on. Maybe share a little bit about the platform and some things we can look forward to in the hobby. I know a lot about it, but I think for our listeners, it'd be great to hear what you guys have planned over there.
Yeah, for sure. So, I've never been part of an acquisition, right? So that's been interesting. I will say a big relief for the rebrand to be official. So it's been exciting. I use that. We talked about the Barry Sanders moment at the National. For me, what jumped out to me immediately, the difference between PWCC and Fanatics Collect is that reach with athletes, right? Which is exciting. The fact that I can be at a show all of a sudden, we're interviewing Mike Vick and Barry Sanders and Ocho Cinco, and those guys are hanging out, and I'm like just a fan, right? So for me, that's the biggest immediate difference as a hobbyist. I guess behind the scenes, you're just seeing a lot of high level innovation, a little bit better culture. All teams are connecting, making sure we're collector focused, which is really exciting. I'm most excited about, the customer service aspect. I think where we win, and I come from a world, I worked at Rocket Mortgage for 16 years and, it was just customer service to the extreme, right? So I'm excited for that aspect. I think where I would like us to lead is being the most high level, response time, taking care of our clients. Some of the innovation stuff, man, I think the vision is to be a one-stop shop overall, right? You can hop on our website, you can find, some TCG stuff, or you can find, a $50,000, grail that you've been looking for forever. So you're going to have the accessible cards on auction and marketplace. I know that we're talking about doing some trading on the platform. Of course, we're going to have the vault storage. And I think we'll have some unique stuff with the athletes there too, and some cool giveaways and jerseys and wax and all of that. So, there's a lot of moving pieces right now. And I have a pretty cool gig working with shop owners like yourself, Jameel, and breakers and volume sellers and stuff. So that's what I'm focused on most of the time, is helping my clients elevate their business. I know that just by taking care of my people, right, naturally the right things will happen with consignment. So I'm most excited about, ramping that up and building my team even larger, and just, helping the hobby as a whole.
When you talk about these athletes and partnerships and all that, I think, some people, especially even little kids, I remember going spring training and getting autographs, and it was fun, but now it seems like they're further apart. And you just don't have that ability to interact. Do you see that those athletes still really enjoy getting to do that? When they get to talk to kids and be around kids and, be a part of things like that. And it's kind of, even for them, it's probably still cool to, be adored and give a little kid an autograph.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, just at the National, those handful of athletes that were there, you could tell it was like they were genuinely enjoying it, right? And you could see what was cool for me is that they were talking about their cards, right? They may have seen a 90, pro set or whatever card and say, hey, I remember this. And then they'll compare that to the new cards that are shiny or have a patch and stuff. So there actually, from what I saw, seems to be a lot of genuine interest of maybe getting them into the hobby. And of course, we hear those stories of, athletes collecting, you see Mike Trout at, our competitor Golden right there, holding one of his best cards. So from what I can tell, they really enjoy it and they want to be more involved in it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something else I think you guys are involved with now is the Sotheby's partnership. So when you look at that, how might that change the game in terms of auctions and things that are going on?
For sure. And that's another thing I didn't touch on, like the creativity with Fanatics, right, is incredible. So, our president, Chris LaMontagne, has an idea and he jumps at it. Sotheby's is cool. Specifically for us, it's meant to be for cards that are 6 figures plus. They go into auction with them, and it's a different setup. I forget the venue, but this live auction will be in New York at a church, invite only for people to bid live. I believe Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, some other people are going to be there actually live, which is pretty crazy. And then of course there'll be, bidders that'll be able to bid online and stuff. So that's a really cool partnership. Brings us kind of the next level. Sotheby's really hasn't dabbled in cards too much. So now this is an opportunity for us to, help elevate them and then just give kind of that high-end feel to the auction. And our clients really another auction, an option for auctioning, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, creativity is something that, as Nate knows, has been lacking, in the hobby. And so with this Fanatics merger and all the things that Fanatics is doing, you're starting to see a lot of things outside the box. Something that was huge in our shop was the MVP buyback program. They created this program where literally you buy Topps Chrome, you pull a base card of one of the MVPs, you come in back and you get store credit. Like, such a cool program for people to come back and get extra value out of a blaster box or a hobby box. So that's just one of the things. And I think about that auction. It's when you drop those names, it's like this is where we probably always dreamt to be, and now we're getting there. And so it's going to be exciting. We talked about a national.
What's different quick is for a fan, right? Like, you might not normally join an auction, but if you're like, hey, I might be able to participate and Michael Jordan's there, like, I have to tune in. So to your point with that creativity, it brings fans in, right? And maybe one of those fans buys their first card and now they're fully ingrained in the space. So the creativity is big. And I hope selfishly to have, like with what I do with hobby shops, I have a round table, monthly or quarterly with you guys to see how we can help improve your business. What are we doing well and what are we not? Where are we missing? So could get in trouble for saying that, but as a hobbyist, this is why I'm in the space. I know that, for hobby shops and stuff, you guys are the lifeblood of the hobby. So we need to treat you right and make sure we're doing the right things.
Appreciate that, man. So the national, right? I mean, it's this event we've talked about. It's mesmerizing for a lot of people. You guys had a interesting setup there, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on maybe some of the cool. I mean, you as a hobby guy, seeing all the cool collectibles at the Fanatics Collect booth that was out there, but also, like you were mentioning earlier, you were getting a lot of stuff submitted to you. You were walking the floor, meeting all these people. What were some trends that you saw? I mean, we're only 10 days out still. What were some things, maybe players or brands that you noticed were just hot liquid commodities? And then, of course, I'd love to hear about some of the. I got this chance to see some of them, but I didn't get to see all the things that you had displayed there at the booth.
Yeah, for sure. So, real talk, slammed at the national. Like I said earlier, I don't know why so many people wanted to talk to me, but it was like I'm talking to one client and there's someone waiting. So, like, I don't really feel I had an opportunity to really walk our display and take it in. I remember seeing, Jordan's first Upper Deck game use patch there, and the game use Upper Deck auto. Seeing those in person, kind of like a collector's dream for me. So I'll have you speak on, Jameel, some of your favorite pieces that we saw there. As far as trends go, football's hot, right? And I'm sure, you as a dealer, I saw you in action, talking 24/7. There's times I'm waiting 15 minutes because I didn't want to interject when you were making deals. But for me, it felt like a lot of football items were coming up to the booth. And then on the floor, the football items and the quarterbacks, stuff was really, really hot.
Yeah, there was it was quite a bit of stuff. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of commodities. We were talking earlier in the first segment about football quarterbacks. Caleb Williams is a guy that we sold out of. Of course, everybody wanting Burrow, everybody wanting Mahomes, everybody wanting all that whole plethora, right, of the quarterbacks in football. But one that was surprising to me was Caitlin Clark. Just the amount of people, and it wasn't people were like, oh yeah, well that's just the women coming in. It was like, no, everybody wanted to collect Caitlin Clark. Kids, a lot. I had just people just tell me how much they enjoyed watching her and what she's done for WNBA, and I thought that was kind of a cool world because the superfractor sale wasn't too long ago, and kind of seeing her market just expand so quickly. So there was a lot that I saw. You guys had the TCG, I think it was the Pokemon Snap set out, which to me is a wild set because people didn't even know that the Pikachu card existed and no one had ever seen it, and so then it shows up at Fanatics Collect booth in this set, and so there's some unique things there in that TCG space too. I don't talk about it enough. I mean, it's just such a massive world, massive entity. I mean, the fandom that was there. I had a lot of people come up to our booth and say, "Where's more TCG?" And I was like, "Well, it's a sports card show, but that's cool that the expectation is there for that as well." So yeah, there was a lot of cool things at the Fanatics Collect booth.
Yeah, I would say like one brand that I was surprised with, and maybe this is just where I left my booth and to kind of go into the dealer area, Jameel, where you were at. But every time I walked by Cards HQ, the buying station, that stood out to me. The amount of time people would wait in line to liquidate their collection was that stood out to me as far as one brand that was like, holy cow. The two guys there that were buying the whole show were just slammed, from day one to the second. I mean, even the last day they were closing down the booth, right? They took the signage down and there's still people approaching them. So that was pretty wild for me to see.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, so speaking of the buy game, I'm still learning all this stuff. The buy sell is, interesting for me. But then, the auction house and Golden Heritage Leland, it's like, I guess it's just more intimidating to me than anything else. I'm like, I'm the Beckett guy that's increasing $1 and I'm getting all excited. So it just, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do something at that level, but Jameel tells me it's easy. I don't know if just because he's a buddy of mine. So this is where I need the expert stuff from you is like, so how does a novice like myself get into selling things on these big auction platforms?
Selling's easy, man. I would say what's really cool and the feedback that I get working at Fanatics Collect and previously PWCC is having a rep, right? To be able to pick up the phone, call or text your rep, send an email, have a response time. That's where I feel like we win because that you have that resource all the time. So find a company like Collect where you can, find a rep, ask basic questions. Nate, should I sell these? Is this worth it? How do I go about it? And then, having someone that you trust as a referral to say, yes, great time to sell, or no, right? Like, frankly, sometimes someone will bring me a piece. Like we're not there with, high-end memorabilia yet, right? So someone might say, Nate, how do you think this will perform? And I might say, not as well with us as somewhere else, right? I hope we get to that point, but, to have that honest feedback. But, hop on Fanatics Collect or eBay or whatever and just start searching. I remember when I first started back in 2012, again, in my collecting space, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. My first son was just born. He was colic, crabby baby. I'm itching for a hobby. I go over to my father-in-law's house. He shows me his baseball collection. Nostalgia hits me. I come home, cash out an investment account and spend a lot of money on eBay that night. And I found out the next morning that there was a best offer option. Like I had no idea. I started. So, and now, just, I guess, find what you like if you're going to buy, right? Always trust your eye and collect what you really like. Of course, in the back of our minds, we're going to have that investment piece as well. You don't ever want to put you or your family in a financial, struggling position, but collect what you like. It's not too intimidating. You have the resources like Card Ladder, like, man, this card looks cool. It's on Collect, buy it now for $100. You go on Card Ladder, you see last count sold for 105, that's a good deal. So I think it's easier now to get ingrained. But collect what you like, you can shop wherever you want, Collect, eBay, wherever, and then you have the resources to help you make sure you're getting a good deal.
And the Meelypops kind of plethora of shops, right? The two shops, the plural. We'll be working with Nate on this whole thing as well, with just this kind of dealer program where people can just drop cards off and then they'll be live on your platform. And I've been telling people too in the shop, we haven't really officially announced it, so I guess it's the official announcement here, but the ability to give your cards to us on a weekend and then potentially have those cards up on the Fanatics Collect weekly auction that Thursday to the following Sunday is like unprecedented customer service. So I think about this, and the walls are breaking down, Nate, right? It's allowing for the cohesion of everybody in the hobby ecosystem to bring their stuff in, to get liquidity. And if they don't sell it to the shop, then to put it up for auction. Because a lot of people come in and they may not want to give up the percentage to the shop. And that's fine. I tell them, like, this is what we have to buy at. If you don't want to, let's try running on auction at Fanatics Collect and see what you get on. You may get 100, 105%, whatever it might be. So I'm excited to see that evolve, through the shops. I know you're working with our buddy Andy at Indie Card Exchange and many other people across the nation in that. So it's exciting to see. And maybe Jeff will bring all his old 90s Topps baseball for
87 Barry Bonds rookie.
Yeah, and to chime in, Jeff, and to your point, Jameel, like that's what I'm building, and we're officially kind of like launching it and making it more public now. But working with shops is something I've done now for about a year and a half as my main focus. So Jeff, a guy like you can walk into your LCS and you can talk to Jameel and say, hey, thinking about liquidating these, and Jameel may make you an offer and he buys the cards right now. That's fair. I've dealt with him many times in the past. If that doesn't work out, to Jameel's point, the plan B would be, to consign with us. So you can just walk into your LCS, get honest advice of, what you should do, what they think will perform well at auction, or once again, maybe he wants to buy at the shop. But that's my vision, is for these local collectors to be able to hang out at their LCS, buy, trade, and then also be able to get liquid. And I feel like I've had a pretty cool impact on a lot of the shops already, and we've just scratched the surface. I envision a map across the whole country where you can, find a submission center for consignment, right? And I don't think we're too far away from that, to be able to highlight Meelypops in your area and be like, cool, I can just drive my shop right now with my collection and get liquid. So that's kind of my vision. Helps the consumer, helps, local business owners, small business owners, kind of take to the next level too.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm learning the lingo too. LCS, local card shop.
You got it, man.
He's teaching me things.
You got it. He's learning it slowly. Slowly, we're building.
Processing, yes.
The vernacular for Jeff is growing in that. So, well, thanks, man. We're excited to see that grow, and again, people are excited, I think, to be a part of the action. And I use that word a lot because my dad, he's in his late 60s and he's at the shows, and I always ask him. He doesn't always know what he's doing, right? He sometimes selling cards way too cheap, way too high. But I think he loves the action. I think you touched on the thing of being in the hobby action, creating that cycle, right, of buying and selling and trading. It's what we love, right? It's just why do we get up so early to go drive to a card show on a Saturday morning when we're exhausted? Why do we, do the things that we do in the hobby world? So that action is becoming more full circle for everybody. So I'm excited for that, man. We could talk for hours. I say this to all our guests because the hobby is so many layers. But I have one final kind of segment with you, my friend. And it's we close every guest out with a rapid fire set of questions. So if you're up for it, it's our Meelypod Titan MRI rapid fire section with Nate Flesher, and I have some questions I prepared for you. You up for the task?
Let's get it, man. Let's do this thing.
All right. So first thing that comes to mind, it could be anything. Here we go. All right. First question: sudden death or extended bidding?
Oh, extended bidding all day.
All right. Who do you dislike more? The Packers, Vikings, or Bears?
That's a tough one. We'll go with the Bears.
Okay. Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube?
Instagram all day.
Instagram. Make sure you're following N Fun Collector at Instagram. Make sure we'll put it up on the screen. All right. What's worse, Nate? Shill bidding or a non-pay?
Shill bidding. Terrible for the hobby. No one wins with shill bids.
Hold on, I got to interrupt. That's a new lingo word. What is that?
All right, I'll let Nate share with you.
Yeah, so that is someone bidding up a card that they don't intend to buy. To maybe it's their own card, right? It's listed on a platform and they're bidding it up to inflate the comp on that card, right? So let's say a card should sell for $1,000. Somebody bids it up to $1,500. That shows on a comp platform for $1,500. They immediately show that to a potential buyer, say, hey, this thing's worth $1,500. It just sold yesterday. So it's really fraud what it is. So that's actually one of my biggest irks in the hobby. Like I can't stand it. If you're a show bidder, you're dead to me. I don't want to talk to you.
No, it's exactly how I feel as well. All right, we'll keep moving on. I could talk for days about show bidding in my discuss for it. This is a little bit more favorable question. I know you'll like this one. Logo men or limited logos?
Limited logos for me, man. It's such an awesome era with exquisite. Love the card. Just bought a pretty cool limited logos of my PC LeBron. So that's an easy one for me.
There you go. Who's faster at pulling up a comp, you or the boys?
Oh, they're so slow. Definitely me. Definitely me. They have a lot of work to do. This is what I do day in and day out. So not even close.
We should create a Flesher Olympics where you see how fast you guys can pull up comps or something. That'd be fun.
They'll fail so miserably. I'll crush them.
Never let them get you in anything. Basketball, they always think that they're better, but keep crushing them.
For sure, no doubt. I do that, man. I swat him like Billy Madison on the basket.
Nice.
That's
all right, a few
old school love.
Yeah, that's the best. A few more. So there's a little throwback here. What was the funniest acronym someone ever gave you for PWCC?
Ooh, I can't. I don't think we have a funny one. I don't think nothing stands out, man. Yeah, nothing stands out at all.
Okay, that's the answer. That we can fill in the blank for you listeners.
You know what? I'll ask you this: Have you heard any funny acronym for PWC?
Yeah, well, there was some like people didn't know about pre-war, so I heard different like PWs. I can't remember exactly what they were, and so I would always think like, where are they getting this from? Like it literally says it on your website, but not pre-war, full wax, or like there's all sorts of funny like terms people came up with. But
I thought Pacific West or something like that when
okay. Culture Company or something like that. There you go. All right, so a couple more. What would Nate Flesher rather do? Pull a big case hit or win an auction for a PC card?
I say PC, right? Sometimes a card just pops up that you've been after for a decade, right? I just, I'm one of the only dudes that collects Matthew Stafford. So recently, 2014 totally certified platinum mirror gold popped up. I'd never seen one, right? And this was like a month ago. And one of my collector friends, who's also a client, emailed me. He's like, Nate, this card's live. And I just smashed bin right away. So when you're after something for a long time and you see that, to me, that's way better than, pulling a case hit.
Yeah, no, definitely. 2 questions left. Biggest shock you've ever had in an auction. So this could be biggest shock you've had on a low sale or a high-end sale.
I would just say the boom and the peak as a whole, right? To see the fact that anyone could just grade a bunch of base cards and then you see crazy things happening like a Zion Prism base selling for however much was the peak every day, and there are dozens and maybe hundreds of those cards. Yeah. So I was just in awe for that whole year and a half watching auction just go absolutely nuts in the sales. So can't pinpoint one that was a shocker, but I remember when I sold a decent portion of my collection at the peak saying, what the heck, I bought this for X and here it is now. So that whole era, right, is an outlier. I don't even really like talking about it too much for people that have only been in the space since 2019, 2020, because it was such an anomaly in the hobby. But yeah, that whole era. How about you? Is there any auction you saw that went crazy high and you're like, what the hell were they thinking?
Well, you brought up Zion. It wasn't an auction. I remember middlemaning a deal for somebody who had 4 PSA 10 silvers, and the end buyer purchased it for $33,000. And I'm just thinking about what the PSA 10 silver Zion is today. But yeah, there's been, honestly, I going back and I thinking about auctions, when that Jordan sold, that PSA 10 Jordan sold, if you remember, was it $1 million? I think it was at an auction. I don't know if it was Golden or where it was, but I remember that happening. That's right. And then the effects of it, right? And then everybody at the Dallas Card Show buying and flipping Jordans the next day on the Sunday. And it was just a wild world and seeing kind of the trickle down of that. So yeah, that's been one for me. But this is about you. So last question for you. For Nate, what is one piece of advice Nate would give to a hobby youngster? Say somebody who's 14 years or younger. What would you tell him today?
I would just say focus on the fun aspect of the hobby and actually collecting and figuring out what you like. Maybe collecting a player, talking about sports collecting that you watch a lot, right? To me, That's why I collect Jared Goff and no one else does, right? Or Matthew Stafford, because I watch them every Sunday or Thursday, right? Or you know, a playoff game. To me, as a young collector, you know, find an athlete that you really like, you look up to in a certain way, or you watch. And then there's so many different cards and parallels now. Right? Just trust your eye. Trust your eye and buy what you like, not what, you know, the hobby likes. Like an example, people are Kaboom crazy. I'm a Galactic guy. Like when I hold a Galactic card and I look at, you know, the complexity of that design, to me, that is a much better card. Where someone else might be like, dude, the Galactics are ugly, right? Like you got to go with the Kaboom. Look how much more it pops, right? So, you know, player that you like, what you like for your eye, and enjoy the fun. Don't focus too much on buying and flipping. I think naturally you can make money in this space just by trusting your eye. And also, I guess another thing is buy the rare stuff. You know, one piece of advice that I had talking about the 86 Fleer, I've owned one of those. I know I can pick it up at any time. Anytime I want, I can go buy a Jordan rookie card. But if you find, you know, a PC item that is pretty rare, you don't see every day, you might not even see at a whole card show, buy that card because you might not see it, you know, for a while.
Those are good. Those are good nuggets, people. So make sure you're listening to Nate, a seasoned vet there. Well, you survived the Titan MRI Meelypod rapid fire segment there, buddy. That was some good answers. You've been amazing tool and just help to the hobby, and so thank you for that. And we're looking forward to seeing what Fanatics Collect brings here, not just in our shop, but from the national level, the creativity, and thanks for all the hard work. I know you're grinding. I saw you sweating at the national just like me, so I know you're grinding, man.
I love it, man. And listen, you guys probably haven't talked about this, but Jameel was a busy man at the National. This guy was nonstop wheeling and dealing. So one of the most popping boosts there. So keep doing your thing. Pleasure to work with you, man. And you're out there grinding too. So thank you.
We'll see you at Fanatics Fest for the next grind, and that'll be a fun event, man. Looking forward to kind of seeing the first event, the Comic-Con like experience for sports. And we'll be there at the Javits Center. What is that, next Thursday? Was that setup day? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll see you soon.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Guys,
And
thanks for having me.
Thank you, Nate. And you know, it's awesome to hear you just the customer service aspect and the kids, and you know, I think why we're trying to get everybody into this and make it that way, because it's fun
Exactly.
to be able to do all this. And you know, anytime you guys can help out and just make it an easier transaction experience, that's what it's all about. So keep it up.
Heck yeah, appreciate that, guys. Thanks again.
All right, man. See you.
All right. Appreciate Nate. We'll come back and continue the Meelypod Hobby Podcast right after this.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life. And the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms: Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
Well, great stuff with Nate. Always knowledge that I'm gaining, and hopefully that's what you guys and gals listening are getting. I think that's the important part, and just the collabs with everybody. And again, it fascinates me week in and week out about just the relationships that people have, and you know how much they care about wanting to make sure people are getting what they want, and they're having help, and there's not these just completely rip-off artists. I know they're out there, but you know, at least the ones you're associated with, and you know, the ones that are legit out there are really in it for the best of the best and to make people happy.
The good guys.
Yes. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's about, right?
All right. Well, we got some good guys, new wax coming up. So that's what it's all about. Again, WaxStat, the easiest way to get real-time price comps on wax boxes, sealed products from your mobile phone or your laptop. Save money and time, get the best deal on wax. All you got to do is visit waxstat.com. All right. So some new stuff, and
check it.
The Olympics are coming out. So now what? We've got a Olympic cards. How cool is that?
Topps Chrome Olympics. So Ledecky's in it, Dressel's in it, Grant Holloway's in it.
Okay.
Not just regular cards, autograph cards. The Katie Ledecky 1 of 1 was pulled last night, I saw.
Really?
And it's we'll put a picture of that on the screen. So in a local card shop, I forget where it's at. So Ledecky Fever is taking the hobby nation by storm. Great product. We probably ripped, I don't know, 8 to 10 cases already on our breaks. People are loving it. It's a good value. We sell like 175. Obviously, you can just check it out on WaxStat and see where we fall in line. But a great product that we're only going to have every 4 years. Right? Wow. So Dwayne Wade, Steph Curry, they got cards in it too. So you got a little bit of everything. It's not just Olympics. It's also Paralympics. And it's all U.S. hopeful. So it's all U.S. Michael Phelps has autographs inserted into it. And cool product that came out the Friday of National Week. But we haven't really talked about it. And I think it's a special product.
Yeah. 2 autographs.
Yeah.
And what's 1 relic per box? What would that mean?
So like you get like a jersey card, like part of their uniform in the card, and they have different types of relics. And then this one might be one of Jeff's favorites here. This is Topps Finest. So it's come out this year. It's very different than years past. It's 6 packs, whereas in years before it was 6 packs per 2 mini boxes. So it was almost like a square. You had 2 mini boxes, and then you had 5 or 6 packs inside of it. So they've simplified it. It's 6 packs. This goes for about $275, $300, and they've tiered the base cards. So there's 1 through 100 are common. I think 101 through 200 are uncommon, and then 300 or 201 to 300 are rare. So as you're pulling these cards, you're only going to get 2 rares per box, and it's a new iteration for Topps Finest, which I'm all about it because I think Finest needed to change. It's a great product on card. People love it. Wyatt's, of course, in there, and Skeens and all these guys that we're looking for in the rookie class, plus all the vets and all the legends as well. So two boxes that I'm sure you'd want to rip.
Heck yeah.
But we don't have enough time to rip today.
No, but more and more just keeps coming out. But we do need, before we run out of time, to give away our goodies from last month, don't we?
Yeah. So we have our winner. His name is Cody Locke, J6T. Check this out, Cody. Grant Holloway autographed spikes, Adidas. He's an Adidas runner. There's the spikes, as you guys can see it, and JSA certified. So I'll see me out of the camera here. It's got inscriptions on the front side there. It's got inscriptions on the front side there. So he signed them. One says Go Gators, and then the other one has his world record times. So really cool piece. Congrats to Cody Locke, and thanks for commenting on the YouTube Facebook.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that we get to watch. Hopefully, go get that gold. And the awesome part was his prelim run. Like no one was even close to him.
Yeah, it was like a whole gap of hurdles.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like you running against me.
I mean, yeah, you
killing me.
Nah, you smoking me. But yeah, it's so exciting that Grant was in like literally at this table where we're at right now about 4 weeks ago, and just getting to talk to people, and he's such a great guy, and so we're hopeful to see him. I know he's one of the big standouts for the U.S. team, and a lot of people looking forward to that. And of course, obviously, being a Gator, it helps. But the U.S. team in general, there's so much talent. I was watching yesterday with the cyclist, was she like a venture capitalist who wasn't supposed to win, and then she won the gold medal in the long bike run. It's just fun to watch. You got to love the stories that you see.
Yeah, you do. And Bobby Fink, another Gator here locally, did what he did, and it basically saved 120 years.
He's in the set too. I forgot.
Does he really?
Fink's in the set. Yeah.
Okay. So lots to look forward to. Yeah, make sure you go get that, and make sure you tell your friends about what we're doing. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter Live, whole bunch of different platforms on podcasts as well. 39 different ones, so you can find us just about everywhere.
I would just throw this out there as you guys are listening. A way to support us is just go leave reviews, specifically like Spotify, or if you're on YouTube, Facebook, comments and likes, subscriptions, all that stuff just helps the podcast. So anyway, we'll move forward from that. I brought you something from the National. I'm going to show this to the camera here. This is a Tom Glavine, Greg Maddox, and John Smoltz triple signed auto we picked up from the National. I think our buying team, Tim and Joe, picked it up, and I thought Jeff needs this card. So
that is perfect.
There you go, buddy.
Really, really cool.
Gem Mint too. BGS 95 Gem Mint.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just, and it's again, the nostalgia part for me is going back and, trying to get all these autographs and spring training in 1994 and 1995. And I could have just waited to meet you.
There you go.
To get something cool. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
That is awesome. Man, I actually picked this up, and I know it's not for you, but how cool is this? I was just up and found it. I didn't even know they made this stuff, but it's a Braves hat, but the what's that, 93
Topps baseball pack on the side of the
so
hat.
those aren't worth anything, right? Those cards.
There's some cards you can get out of there. It's not a huge one.
Yeah.
They made a lot of them.
But yeah, pretty cool.
They didn't make a lot of that hat. That's special.
Braves hat that I will have to sport, and maybe I'll display it right next to the
Braves
card.
and Braves and Cardinals.
Yeah.
Let's hope they get the NL finals this year. That'd be fun.
At least they'll be in it. Well, always have fun doing this with you. Again, we'll have another great guest next week. We'll start to get into the athlete side of things and get their perspective. I thought that was cool what Nate was talking about too, because I know you've mentioned it a little bit, but just how much these guys get into just their own stuff. I mean, I guess for me, first time I ever got a card, it was just this little rinky-dink card, or I was up again visiting some family this weekend, and you get the card when you're 7 years old, and it's got the pose hitting like this on it, and you look like a little dork.
Yeah.
All those fun things.
Stats on the back.
Yeah, you think it's like a real card. So for those guys to be able to see that and talk to hobby, it means something special to them.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Nate is just another classy example of hobby people who care about seeing it grow, and so it was fun getting to talk to him. Make sure you guys go back and rewatch and re-listen. Got some good nuggets there. And of course, if you want to be part of the Fanatics Collect consignment, you can literally contact our shop. We have that program launching very soon, and that stuff that you get to the shop will go straight to Fanatics Collect through the dealer program. And it's very, very easy. You don't have to ship anything, and sure, we'll handle all that. And then it obviously gets up on the website very quickly, much quicker than if you just send it in. And on top of that, there's some unique payouts. So we'd love to talk to you more about that. You can always contact us on our socials or our email, shopmeelypops@gmail.com.
All right. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it. All right. For Jameel, I am Jeff. That was episode 10 of the Meelypod Hobby Podcast.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.